So what I want to introduce to you today is really the passive way to do lead generation. And there's many different ways that you can do it, but we can focus on two primary ones and then kind of work our way backwards. So the ones that I want to talk about today is blogging and YouTube. So I put this in the scaling category because these types of strategies, the passive strategies, the strategies that you just knock over one domino and then it takes over from there. You don't have to go out there and be in front of a client making that cold call or sending out that email, sending out that email manually. All of those are active strategies. Cold calling, open houses. You have to go to the open houses. Door knocking, you have to physically go to the door and make the call. So those are all active strategies. Those are ways that you generate business actively. Today, I wanted to focus more on the passive side, where once you knock over that first domino, the rest takes over. So some example of passive strategies include YouTube, which we'll talk about, blogging, which we'll talk about, Pinterest, which is essentially a one that is underutilized in real estate, but still effective. Another strategy is podcasting. So once you upload the podcast, people listen, you grow an audience, and then people end up converting. Another strategy is direct mail marketing. Once you press send, the direct mail, if you're using a third party, will automatically mail out the mailers, and you don't have to be next to the homeowner taking out the mail every single morning for them to see it. So really, when we're looking at scaling our business, we have to introduce a passive lead generation strategy in order to be more sustainable. So from that standpoint, the YouTube part and the blog part, here's how they work together. And then we can get pretty molecular with this, but I'm going to try not to, because I understand that not everyone is working on these strategies. But the reason that I suggest that you work on the blogging and the YouTube together is because one can feed the other. It can feed a lot of other channels, a lot of your social media and everything else, but we're going to focus on these two. When you're creating a blog, when you're cultivating a blog, what you're effectively doing is you're being found by Google. As we all know, that's the number one website out there right now. So people either go to Google for answers, or 5% go to Yahoo for answers, or Bing, or whatever the other search engine is. So when you're creating content via a blog, you're starting on your rank. You're not starting out ranking, but you're effectively competing on the front page of Google. That's your end goal. That's your North Star in relation to marketing, right? Your North Star is actually closing the deals. But by you creating and cultivating a blog, you give yourself you get access to a huge audience that's actively searching for whatever it is that you're doing. And we'll talk about the type of content to create there. So when you're creating these blogs, what you're doing is you are giving yourself an opportunity to be number one flat out. So whenever somebody is searching best neighborhoods in Dallas as an example, when you create a blog, you're actually starting out on the Google side, right? So Google search, if you can rank number one, that's a huge advantage for you. Now, the reason that I like doing that marrying that up with YouTube is because the second most frequented website is YouTube. So what you've done with the blog, once you create the blog first, what you've done is you've now created a script for your YouTube video. And you've also created B-roll unbeknownst to you. And what B-roll is, I'm not trying to go that molecular, but what B-roll is basically what's being shown in front of the screen while you're voice overing. So while you have your voice is going, an image can show up, a video can show up while the video is playing. So if you work both of those angles, those are passive ways to generate business, because people that are searching for searching for anything on Google, and then ultimately are searching for answers on YouTube, they're actively participating. They're actively searching. There's a need that they need to fill. So it's a captive audience. By you placing your content in between the answer and them, the answer and their curiosity, you are becoming the thought leader. You are becoming the person that they want to work with. And I can give you countless of examples on how that looks. So I guess it would be a good idea to give you some the content ideas right now. The content that's going to help you really thrive with both strategies, both from the blogging and YouTube, has to do with the geography that you work. So top neighborhoods in Dallas, best neighborhoods in Dallas, everything you need to know about Dallas, Texas, the pros and cons of Dallas. So all of these different topics that someone that's interested in Dallas, and even someone that lives in Dallas but may not have gone outside of their neighborhood, they're going to not only find this interesting, but they're going to find it valuable, so valuable that they're going to reach out to you. Is this making sense? I know in our one thing, I kind of get going, but want to make sure that we don't miss this. Our topic for today, again, is creating passive lead generation strategies in order for us to scale our business. So the reason that this is a scaling, I put it on the scaling category, is because this is not a strategy that I would recommend agents that are just getting into the business to only focus on these strategies. Not because they don't work, but because they take a while to work. Right? So once we have some business going, once we have our active strategies going, once we have more predictable lead generation strategies or more predictable business, now we know that we can keep our mortgage payment up or our car payment up, then we can focus on a more sustainable long-term strategy that builds with time. But YouTube, just so you know, don't expect results the first 30 days. If you know what you're doing, you can expect some results within 90 days, but it's something that for YouTube, as an example, it's going to take some time. Blog, same thing. If you know what you're doing, on blogging, it's even a longer term. So if you know what you're doing on blogging, you can expect some level of results within 120 days, but how you scale is with time. And if you're brand new, time isn't always on your side, because you either have a cash reserve that you thought was going to hold you over enough as you were building your business. So that's why whenever I have strategy sessions with all of our agents and all of the agents that I personally work with outside of my brokerage, I don't really focus on the passive strategies. That's more of a, hey, we're going to build these in once we have a more sustainable way, more active way to generate business.